all the little customers downstairs. So we're gonna change. We're gonna now turn the services over to Brother Jim.
If you want to turn to number 252. This is one of the songs that the angels can't sing. They were created and made. We were bought with a price. We were redeemed by the blood of Christ. Now, if you will, this morning, here we go. I've got several scriptures I want to go to. But I think sometime over a period of time when we fail to think, things become less important to us. If we go back, what you're looking at, each one of you, you've got a bone structure. Okay, that's made. Then you've got muscles attached and ligaments and tendons and all of this stuff comes together. And then after that's made, you've got a cover called skin. And you got 3 layers of it. So that pretty well makes up the human body, with the exception. In that bone structure, there is a skull. And within that is the heart of man. Now, running down our back is a spinal cord. And attached in that spinal cord are nerves that goes out into... Now, Doc, if I get off here, you just say, you need to look at me. But there's nerves that go out that controls everything. The nerve structure is in that spine. The heart is a pump. The brain sends signals to the heart pumps, and it shoves blood through the arteries and the veins of our system. Now that's not, if I can grasp that, the rest of you should really be eating it up. And then you've got eyes. That's the portals I call the soul. We see something. And when we see something, we react to it. If it's something to make us afraid, their signals goes down to the feet, get out of here, or to the hands to shove it away. These are just reactions to the that comes down to these different parts of our bodies, and it comes through the nerve system. And if you get one of those cut off, or shattered, or pinched, that particular area is going to let you know about it. David said, and look, how many of you had ever thought about that? I hadn't until the last couple of weeks that I've been walking around almost 79 years with a body. We've all got different bodies, some big bodies, some little bodies. Good friend of mine, just here a while back, and I may have told you this. I'm at the point in life where I tell things over. I watch TV programs that I seen 2 weeks ago, and that is to eat them up. I know that's happening to me. I'm aware of that. And me and Essie go get tickled for this at home. But when you think about that, David, even back then, he looked at himself and he said, how marvelously made I am. And once he realized that, he began to appreciate it deeper. The more we understand about something, the better we feel about it, and the more enjoyment we get out of it. Now, to prove to myself that when God speaks to the heart, He is not talking about the pump. He is talking about right here. Right here. Just bear with me. I may have to be a little bit slow. But I want you to go to 1 Samuel chapter 16. And I want you to look at verse 6. This was the place where Samuel was going down to pick the next king. And I dare say the nation of Israel didn't agree with Samuel's choice. And they didn't agree with God's choice. There's a lot of things in this world that you may disagree with. That's okay. You've got that option. But that doesn't change how God feels about it. There's not a living person that's ever lived that can change the mind of God. We either fall into His commandments and become a part of Him and lead a relatively good life, or we can kick and rebel against it all of our life and be unhappy. Make your choice. Just take a choice. But in this particular case, David was looking for God's anointed. And in verse 6, so it was when they came that he looked at Eliab and said, surely the Lord's anointed is before him. And then in verse 7, here is a statement. Let it run deeply. But the Lord said to Samuel, do not look at his appearance or at his physical stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord does not see as man sees. For a man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. The content of what David was to become. He was looking for David. And Eliab was evidently the best looking one in the bunch. And Samuel said, surely this has got to be the boy. And God said, Samuel, it's not him. Now the next one I want to go to, just bear with me. Jeremiah 17:9, the prophet, the man of God. He spoke truthfully about the mind. Not the heart, not the pump, but the mind. Here you go. Listen to these words. The heart is deceitful above all things, and desperately wicked. Who can know it? I, the Lord, search the heart. I test the mind. Even to give every man according to his ways, according to the fruits of his doing. What's everybody so upset and excited about? I run into people today that is absolutely worried to death. Worried to death. If you can change it, do something about it. If you don't, put it in the hands of God. That's where it's at anyway. That's where it's going to be. What God proposes, God performs. And I've been in different stages when I didn't trust Him as much as I trust Him today. And I'm a happy camper. And you are to be happy. If you have the right mindset, and God lives in your mind, you are to be happy. Because there's some good things coming for us. It's coming down the pike. So remember that verse there in Jeremiah. The next one I want to go to is Matthew 15, 18. And I want you to keep in your mind a pump, and I want you to keep in your mind the brain or the central location. Okay. 15:18 says, but those things which proceed out of the mouth come from the heart. There's nothing come out of the physical heart that comes out the mouth. It comes through the mindset. A mindset. I have formed this one little habit in my life. When I begin to start getting a little bit down or negative, I pick me out a little song. Have you got one? You got a favorite? One you like to sing? One like you need when you get troubled? Or one when you're unhappy? Try it sometime. Beats texting. You can at least do that safely and drive, unless you get too deeply into it. It helps. The things we do to ourselves, we bring it on ourselves. A lot of our unhappiness is not from God. It wasn't intended to be from God. God intended for His creation to be happy, to be content. But you say things happen. Absolutely. Everything that's enduring and that amounts to something is tested. Everything in your home, your appliances that you have, goes through a rigid test before it goes on the market. It's called Underwriter's Laboratory, and they test it. And if it's a good product, it goes on the market. Now, there are things that happen, absolutely, beyond our explanation sometimes. Current events, they had a fire in London. And it so happens that the contractor had used a very, very flammable skin for a building. And it caught fire. And the fire started, they said, now, Joe, this comes down mind your alley. They said that a refrigerator freezer started the fire. And I'm going to tell you, had that been installed properly, it would not have done that. If it is properly fused, properly wire sized, good strong connections, it is not going to happen. It's going to take the safety device out, and it's going to override that. Something went wrong there. It could have. It could have. But you see, God doesn't make any mistakes. The plan of God is perfect. Now, sometimes we rebel and kick against that, and that's fine. Just kick all you want to. Just be as unhappy as you want to. Why just go ahead and be miserable? Do you think that's going to affect God? Absolutely not. Train's running. It's His train. He's the conductor. You've got an option to get off of it or stay on it. But it's going to take you somewhere. And your life, this body, this skin, this mind, it's going to take you somewhere. So, I'm going to finish up on 19. He said, for out of the heart proceeds evil thoughts. Do you think your physical pump has the ability to think? It's an impossibility. Your heart this morning in you, if it fails to receive signals from the brain, it will shut down. But here in the very words of the Master, for out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornication, thefts, false witnesses, and blasphemies. That comes out of the mind. Out of the mind. And so how important is it that we have good thoughts? How important is it that we have positive thoughts? Very, very important. And one of the best things that can happen to people is to be in a place like this on a given day that the Lord said, you need to get together. And you need to sing. And you need to make melody in your heart. And you need to love each other. You need to care about each other. You need to quit hating. You need to quit being jealous. You need to quit being envious. Those are cancers just as surely as there is melanoma and other things. Those are cancers of the spirit. Jealousy, envy, strife, resentment, hate, all of these things. And it proceeds out of a man's mind and does not come from God. That does not come from God. It's an impossibility. Remember the windows of the soul? You look on the earth. Who owns the earth? He said, it's all mine, but he said the devil is the prince of this world. And you say, preacher, I don't believe in the devil. You go right on believing that. You just go right on. And he'll deceive you and take you to hell in the end of your life. That's where he'll take you. Or you can listen to the voice of God. You can believe what God said, that God is faithful and loving and just and caring. And out of our heart should come good things. I want the best for you, brother. Forgive them if they've trespassed against you. If you don't, you're not going to be forgiven. The Master said that. Many, many times in our life there is a warfare. Paul said, there is within my body a constant warfare, my flesh against my spirit. And he said the two are contrary to the other. The war's over. If you're an individual here this morning and you're fighting, the war is over. God has solved that problem and has made peace if we accept the terms. You can't change the terms of God. That is never going to happen, even though man tries on a daily basis. I was reminded that after World War II, and Japan surrendered to the United States. And after our occupational troops of that country got in there, they found people hid in caves, starving, still willing to fight. They didn't know the war was over. Do you know if the war is over? Is your personal war over? And we decide to live under the agreements of God. That's only when happiness comes. All right, the other one I want to move on. You've been very, very good. In John 14 and verse 1. We try to get this across in funeral services. And in essence, we're talking to a captive audience. And we should want to do that. And we're not talking about the individual that we've been called on to officiate. Their life, it's done. It's done. There ain't going to be no change. And that's important. We live every day of our life like it might be the last one. You see how happy that'll make you. It will. And we simply say to that audience, let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God. Believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also. That is a committed promise. That is a committed place. That is a committed commandment coming from Him. There's a place fixed for you. There's a place fixed for you. And if death takes us, and it will get us all. It will get us all. Why not spend what time you got here on earth happy? Quit worrying so much. Be in harmony with God. If we're doing something we shouldn't, we need to quit. We just need to quit. The war's over. peace has been signed. And he said, this was my purpose. And he said, I will take care of it. I'll do that. But there's things that we need to do. There's things we need to do. I've got one more. I appreciate you bearing with me. I'm not as quick-witted as I used to be, but that's okay. In chapter 4 of the book of James, there's a couple things we got to do. There's a couple things we got to do. In verse 7 of chapter 4, therefore submit to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. He didn't say he wouldn't be back. He didn't say he wouldn't give you trouble. God don't mess with the people he's already got. Why should he? God comes after, or the devil comes after God's elect. If you possess something, you've got it. You don't go after it. And if God possesses us, the devil will come after it. And he will come again, and again, and again. He will do that. And in verse 8, here's the remedy. Here's the remedy. It said, draw nigh to God, and he will draw near to you. And then he tells us to cleanse our hands. All have sinned and come short of the glory of God. There's none good, no, not one. If I wasn't a Christian today, I would be living in sin. There's only two categories. There's variations of both. But I believe the comment was made in Bible school, Bible study this morning. There's no big sin and little sin. And so we need to get rid of that. We need to get rid of that. Whatever it is, and let our Heavenly Father in our mind wash that out. And he said there's going to be a couple things happen in 9. He says lament or be sorrowful, and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning and your joy to gloom. That's once we look at ourselves. I had to do it. Every Christian in this house had to do it. There was a time in our life when we had to look deep in ourselves and see if we were of the caliber that God would accept. And in doing that, there are things I left that I once enjoyed, but I left them. I got rid of them a long time ago, because the things I left were going to destroy me on this earth, and in the ultimate end, it was going to destroy my soul. Now, if sin is worth paying that high price for, you got a decision to make. You've got a decision to make. Nothing good can come out of sin. Nothing good can come out of sin. He said, lament and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning and your joy to gloom. Then he says, 10. After that, he says, humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he will lift you up. There's a lot of information now. I think, I'm not going to say this for certain because I have no idea, But I think we may be in the time that Daniel saw. And he said knowledge would literally explode. And Daniel wanted to know about it. He said, no. He said, you go your way. You take care of yourself. You live in your day. And quit worrying about 20 years down the road what things are going to be like. We've even come to the point before weather becomes a conversation. Weather becomes a conversation. Oh, we get this thing, we're going to get rain. You better hope we get rain. You see, we like convenience. We want it to be dry, we want it dry, and wet, and we want it wet. See, we've even come down to that. The generation before you could care less because they dealt with whatever the situation was. They dealt with it. And this generation is going to have to do the same. We're going to have to deal with where we're at, what's going on, and we do need to do it in a manner of where we can have some happiness. Happiness doesn't come automatically. You have to seek it. Jesus said, seek and you shall find, knock and it shall be opened unto you. We got something to do if we're to inherit the kingdom of God. Thank you for being patient with me. I hope this sermon has done you as much good as it has me. And if you're here today and you're not a Christian, you're building your own nest. You're laying your own foundations. Or as the old saying was, you used to say, you make your bed, you got to lay in it. Make it good. Make it nice. Make it soft. In the love of God. We're going to stand and sing 252, Redeemed. You're here today and you're ready to submit your life to the Lord. You have opportunity to do it.